The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen closer, just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast airways, feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start out by saying to Iceman, Jason, Miss Aaron, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, the guys at the Weather Report, to Billy G, and to Walt from the B-Raw Podcast. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. You guys, if you were boogers, I'd pick you first. So anyway, it's been a pretty interesting week since we last talked, and things have been going in a lot of ways about as expected. The first real thing that comes to mind is the federal government has done what it has been doing every year for the last, as long as most people can probably remember. But then again, a lot of people these days have short-term memory issues where they can't remember, the past at all because these dumb motherfuckers just seem determined to keep repeating the same mistakes and acting surprised when the situation just keeps compounding and getting fucking worse. But Congress decided to wait till the 11th hour like they always do before they tried to put forward a continuing resolution to fund the government through the end of the year. Now, first off, you got to bear in mind, this is just to fund the government for a few months. It's like a $160 billion spending bill. The first bill they put forward is about 1,500 fucking pages with about, I'd say about a day and a half to read it before they were expected to vote on it. So, government doing the traditional bullshit of writing these omnibus ridiculous bills. And this is a bill that was supposed to be a continuing resolution, not a whole new spending bill. But they managed to cram a whole new spending bill's worth of shit into what was supposed to be a continuing resolution to keep the government funded until the change of power. And it wasn't. It was filled with literally 1,500 pages of bullshit pork projects, ridiculous things, money earmarked for shit like continuing COVID restrictions and COVID spending. Now, I don't know about you, but as everybody I know that has any fucking common sense at this point is over this shit. The only people I know who are still catching COVID are the ones that have like 9 fucking boosters. Everybody else has just gone back to going, hey, I feel a little crummy, I might have the flu. So, you can do with that information what you will. But yeah, so this bill comes out 1,500 fucking pages. And, the public outcry to it was more or less immediate, in part due to Elon Musk bringing it to the public's attention that this is what these assholes are trying to do. They're trying to pass this massive omnibus bill with, billions of dollars of fucking wasteful spending and no real benefit to the country and more money for foreign powers and all this other horse shit that the American people voted overwhelmingly against when they elected Donald Trump. But the machine is going to keep doing what it's doing. The Uniparty is going to keep operating as it is because they don't give a fuck what the people actually want. They don't really care about what the mandate issued by the population is because in their detached, just absent reality, they still think that they're just going to keep doing what they want. They're going to be held unaccountable and they are somehow better than us. And, they can't read the writing on the wall because reading the writing on the wall would acknowledge how fucking horrible they actually are and how much trouble they're going to be in if they don't get on the fucking bus. So, yeah, first bill goes out. Huge public backlash. Second bill comes out. They trimmed about, I want to say, 1,300 and some change odd pages out of it. The second bill they could put forward was a continuing resolution, 166 pages. To fund the government through January. And realistically, it was still a $166 billion deficit. So it really didn't do much. The only thing that there was a provision put in to raise the debt ceiling preemptively. So when next year rolls around and Trump's in office, the Congress will not be able to hold the debt ceiling over his head to try and leverage his behaviors in line with what they want. Now, a lot of things have been going on. Mike Johnson has proven what an utterly worthless sack of shit he is in terms of being a Speaker of the House, because he has time and time again just proven to be a rubber stamp for the left, for the Uniparty, and for the Biden administration. He just gives them whatever the fuck he wants and then tries to go on social media and complain about how just a horrible job they're doing and all this other shit. Meanwhile, just flat out ignoring the fact that he's funding all of this shit. The only time he gets bills through is when he has Democrat support, because he's not doing anything that any conservatives are putting forward. He's an utter, traitor to the people who installed him in the first place. And so that goes through. And then, again, bill doesn't pass because they don't have any Democrat support on it. And not enough Republicans voted against it because it removed the debt ceiling and didn't shrink the spending at all. And the Republicans who came out against it were actually very clear-cut and very forthright in their statements as to why they weren't supporting the bill. Now, leaning into my general stance that the right is every bit the same fucking cult that the left is, just with a different set of fucking cultish reasons, people immediately start lashing out against these actual fiscal conservatives who are saying, no, I'm not voting for this because of X, Y, or Z. Chip Roy, who was saying, I'm not going to vote for this because it removes the debt ceiling, and that's not how we fix the problem. We need to cut spending, not make it, a free-for-all for the next 2 years. And, immediate backlash, all of the Trump camp and all the hardcore MAGA people saying, well, he needs to be primaried. He's going on a list of this, that, and the other. And it's like, no, the guy explained very clearly what his principles were, why he's saying it, and how, realistically, they were valid reasons. I've never claimed to be a MAGA person. I am an American first person. I do believe we need to take care of our own country, but I'm not part of that group. And because a lot of stuff that some of them lean into, I'm not okay with. And again, that's the difference between conservatives and MAGA people. And because some of the most vocal MAGA people really aren't all that conservative, because they're not looking to shrink the government. They're just looking to change the priorities. Now, without shrinking the government, this country is going to fucking fall apart. We're doomed. And that's just being realistic. You cannot continually operate at a trillion plus deficit and expect to be maintaining jack shit. And, that's one of those problems. I've said it before. Social media gives everybody a voice, which means the ignorant, the willfully ignorant, the deliberately stupid, the poorly informed have just as much of a way to amplify their voices out as your average motherfucker. So you get a lot of dumb motherfuckers who don't have the capacity to perform critical thinking, and some of them because they were never taught, and some of them because they're just dumb motherfuckers. But you have people out there who are unable to look beyond whatever talking head they've decided they're going to marry their allegiance to says, so they don't do their own research. They just echo whatever it was they were told from whatever source they identify with. And granted, while most of the really hardcore MAGA people are not nearly as bad as the fucking uber left fucking death cult motherfuckers, they still possess some of the same faults and flaws in my opinion. Of course, again, these are all just my opinions. These are the way I think about things. This is the way I think about the world working and the way I think things are. And I like to think I'm pretty objective, but I'll admit I have my biases too. Like I said, I'm inclined to be much more irritated with these globalist, statist, leftist, you have to live your life according to my values, because I don't know how to make myself happy, so I just want to make everybody else fucking miserable. Worthless sacks of fucking entrails that are out here walking around screaming about, everybody should be living according to their values because otherwise everybody else is bigots and phobes and ists and all this other horse shit, because they're weak-minded and they can't actually present a valid argument, so they have to play on their feelings, and their feelings are somehow more valid than everybody else's, and it's utter fucking horseshit, and I can't stand these motherfuckers. I realistically wish they all would have been bullied much more as kids, because obviously by eliminating the bullying, we allowed this shit to flourish. Nobody said, you know what, you're a fucking idiot and you need to go back until you learn how to act fucking normal. And That's the problem we face these days. The overly permissive, overly fucking like, oh no, you can be anything you want, even if that means you're going to go run around identifying as a fucking squirrel. You know what? No, just because you want to shove nuts in your mouth, Becky, doesn't mean you're a squirrel. It means you're a fucking hoe. But I digress. That's not the point. I'm not here to slut shame people. I love sluts. Sluts are fantastic. Sluts make the world go round. If it wasn't for sluts, all the betas would be fucking just going rabid and just destroying the world. Oh, wait, they are going rabid and destroying the world. Sluts, do your jobs. What the fuck? But anyway, so back to Congress being a bunch of fuckheads. So then the second bill that was put forward by the Republicans, it was significantly smaller and cut out, like I said, almost 1,300 and some odd pages of pork from the fucking bill. That doesn't pass either. So all of a sudden, we get this people starting to bring the idea to the floor of single-issue bills. And that's how we need to do things. Now, I've been saying that for as long as I've been saying anything political. Is single-issue bills are literally the only valid way to understand where people stand on issues. Because with literally every single omnibus big bullshit has to do with anything else bill that has ever been put forward, there are parts that people agree to and parts people don't agree to. And they tie those things together so they can say, oh, well, we're going to drum up support for this bill. And if you vote against it, it's like, here, we're putting together this bill for everything else that, everybody gets a free kitten. But if you vote against this bill, you don't want people to have free kittens. But meanwhile, the rest of the bill is like funding to have third world immigrants come in for free at your expense and fuck your grandma in the asshole. And you agreed to that part of the bill because you don't want people thinking you're out here hating puppies and kittens, do you? No. I mean, it's just utter horseshit. It's every single fucking media post, every single fucking government flapping head who's out here ranting and raving about how so-and-so doesn't support our bill because that's why they're against this, that, and the other. And yet they just disingenuously leave out all the shit that people actually object to that's tied to the bullshit bill because they, it's not that they actually care about these issues. They want to put talking points in there that they think are going to make their opposition look bad. And they deliberately try to pick things that they think will be so, voting against them would be so horrific that undermining the fucking efficacy of the bill by attaching all this horse shit to it is less negative than taking the flack for not passing the bill. And for a long time I got away with it. For a long time it worked. But again, thanks to Elon Musk and social media and the platform X that he built or, repaired after it was Twitter, it's not working nearly as efficient as it used to be because now we have the resources to call people out on these bills. They say, oh, well, he's voting against the prime example. Actually, they tried to say there was a cause in there, a caveat. One of the addendums to the bill was to fund childhood cancer research. So immediately the Democrats start screaming about how everybody who's opposed to this 1,500-page pork-laden bullshit bill that basically was every intention to hamstring everything Trump was trying to do in the first 2 years of his presidency, you're against pediatric cancer research. You're a monster. Now, what they neglect to say is the Republicans actually already passed a bill in the House months ago. It's been sitting on Schumer's desk since fucking March that funded childhood pediatric cancer research to the tune of something like $150 billion. And Schumer never brought it to the floor to be voted on because he knew it would have to pass, and it was sponsored and written by a bunch of Republicans, and he wasn't about to give them the win. So the same assholes who are trying to call out people who voted against an omnibus spending package because it had a childhood cancer research grant and these monsters don't want care are the same assholes who are playing with literally the last 9 months worth of fucking funding that could have already been codified and handed out and dispersed to the fucking childhood cancer pediatric research groups. And they didn't because of where it came from, how it was written, who it was written by, and how it got through. Schumer just let it sit on his desk because ultimately, at the end of the day, these career parasites don't give a fuck about any of us. But Thomas Massie puts forth a proposition to put forward single-issue bills and put forward, here's our continuing resolution to keep the government funded. Here's a bill to send disaster relief to the victims of the disasters in North Carolina and Florida and all the hurricane disasters and wildfire disasters and the disaster relief for Hawaii, like giving more money to FEMA to fuck off and be irresponsible with. And he says, let's put forward these single issue bills, and we can vote on those single issue bills so you can actually validly say, okay, here's where things stand. And they made a really good head fake of that's what they were going to do. And then ultimately in the 11th hour, the Democrats put forward a new spending package that all the Democrats voted for, and Mike Johnson got to say, oh, well, we passed a spending resolution to continue funding the government through the end of the year, and derpa. Contrary to the fact that it wasn't the bill that Trump wanted, it wasn't the bill that the American people wanted for the most part, it was the bill that the fucking left wanted. I mean, he has completely destroyed his chances of maintaining the speakership. I honestly believe that. He's pissed off way too many fucking people. He's proven that he's just a rubber stamp, and he can only get anything done when he caves to the left, because the right doesn't want to fucking kowtow to him. They want what a lot of people on the right, I shouldn't say all of them, there's still a lot of uniparty fucking hacks that have an R next to their name. But a lot of them have realized, and part of it's Elon saying over and over again, you're going to get on board or you're going to get fucking primaried in 2 years. And I honestly believe he means that. I believe he's going to throw Soros levels of spending to try and oust these motherfuckers if they don't get on board with the program. And meanwhile, the Biden administration, and I refuse to say Biden himself, because that motherfucker's got tapioca between his ears. He's not making any decisions. He's not making the fucking calls that are fucking moving the pieces on the board. It's his handlers. It's his administration. It's all the people that kept propping up this doddering, senile, demented old fuck. Oh no, he's sharp as ever. He's sharp as a tack. He's this, he's that. All these assholes that put this puppet up there to maintain their fucking power for another 4 years and to try and fucking loot the treasury as much as they could on their way out the fucking door. And realistically, it is what it is. I mean, anybody with more than a half a fucking brain realizes Biden's not the one making these calls. He's not the one making these decisions. It's the shadow government. It's the uniparty. It's call it whatever the fuck you want to call it, but it's not him. The guy's a fucking turnip, and it's one that's well past its use-by date. He's squishy, he's soft, he's fucking toast. He's done. But, the administration is still going through and just trying to burn as much as possible, trying to instill as much shit to try and make Trump's run a failure as possible, try and maintain the uniparty's death grip on the fucking American population. And they're doing that by trying to appoint more bureaucratic positions, that trying to ensure that there are contracts in place so the bureaucrats won't be able to be told things like you have to come to fucking work, because I think it's something like 6 or 7% of the federal employees actually show up to work more than 1 day a week. Everybody's working remotely, and yet we're still, as taxpayers, paying to maintain all these huge buildings and housekeeping and maintenance and electricity and all the other bullshit that goes along with it. And the government has no incentive to care, because it's not their fucking money they're spending. It never has been. Now, the only thing is they actually believe they have a right to it, because we've somehow strayed from the founding principles of this country to the ideas of we have this elite class that somehow is just entitled to the fruits of the general peon's fucking labor. And, you and me and every other motherfucker that's out there punching a time clock we're just the modern serf class to these assholes. And it's unfortunate, but it's really what it is. And they are not understanding the dynamic is shifting. And part of the reason they're not understanding is because Congress has become a fucking nursing home. We have the median age of these cocksuckers is 67 fucking years old. We have a Texas representative who was recently found to be literally has not been seen in months, has not voted on a bill or an issue in 6 months, was found recently. And I say found because, yes, they literally misplaced this cunt. And she's still been receiving a paycheck. She's been found in an assisted living facility for Alzheimer's and dementia patients. So, yeah, completely incognizant, unable to function on her own, still on the fucking federal government's payroll, still drawing a taxpayer-funded paycheck. Her care is being paid for via taxpayer dollars, and she's completely incapable of doing her job. I feel like the citizens of that district in Texas deserve a fucking refund, because they're definitely being subjected to taxation without representation, because she's in a fucking dementia facility. It's not, speculation. It's not theory. It's simple fucking facts. This woman is unable to fucking function, and she's in a facility because of it, and yet somehow she's still on the fucking federal government's payroll, and nobody thought to ask where she's been for the last 6 fucking months. And I'm sure a lot of it was her staff and the people that benefit by the belief that she's still in office, probably doing everything they could to fucking maintain it. And a weekend at Bernie's this bitch up, so they're just propping the illusion of her being functioning up so they can all continue to suckle at the teat too. But we have, these archaic dinosaurs dying in office. You got Mitch McConnell, who is, for anybody with eyes, the guy is fucking incapacitated. He's just a piece of shit that refuses to relinquish power. He should be long gone. We've got fucking Pelosi fell down in fucking Europe, and she's in some hospital in Germany having a hip replacement because she busted her hip. The only consolation I really take from that, other than the fact that, maybe her busting her hip's the cover story, and she's going to come back and her fucking eyebrows are going to be touching on the top of her skull because it's facelift city for that vain cunt. But ultimately, I really shouldn't say this, but I'm going to anyway because this is me and that's what I do. Generally after you get to be a certain age, if you bust your hip, that's more or less a death sentence. That's like the timer started, you got maybe 2 or 3 years at the most left. And I'm not saying I would never go out and actively wish death on somebody. I'm just saying it couldn't happen to a more deserving fucking person. If that stereotype turned out to be accurate. But, again, I digress. It's not the point. The fact that our Congress is comprised of, septuagenarians for the most part. These people that are out of touch with reality. They don't understand how the world works anymore. They don't understand why they're losing control of the narrative because they're just doing what they've always done, and it's always worked because that's the way things have been, and that's the way they're always going to be because that's the way it is. And there's just fucking delusional old cocksuckers, who are not under any real pressure to do a good job. Beyond the fact that our standard bureaucrats are not held to any sort of higher standard or any sort of even accountability. Beyond that fact, they have no incentive to do their job well because most of them aren't going to be around to see the long-term consequences of the bullshit they're pulling as they do everything they can to maintain their positions of power and enrich themselves and those that are close to them. And in the process, meanwhile, suckling off the teat and living off the lifeblood of the average American person. Well, we struggle to buy groceries and our lives are falling down around us, and we have illegal aliens killing us writ large because why shouldn't they? All these sanctuary cities are just absolute shitholes, and they're just getting progressively worse. And it's realistically, these are the same assholes that think they should be enforcing their policies on the fucking nation. You get cities like Chicago and New York and pretty much dealer's choice in fucking California. Gavin Newsom, that worthless sack of shit, he has declared another health emergency over the bird flu now. My God. And even his emergency proclamation that has been called out instantly, even the California government has said, well, there's really not that much of a risk at the moment. So Gruesome Newsom is declaring a state of emergency for something that it really isn't that much of an issue yet. But, we're just trying to get out ahead of this one, that fucking slimeball. And I swear to God, he is, I don't understand how the people of California have allowed things to get so bad, how they've gotten just so blinded to the liberal bullshit where they're letting this commie fuck just run what should be one of the largest economies in the world, not even in the fucking country, in the fucking world, into the fucking toilet. The guys literally turning what was once a beautiful state into a just third world country. It's an utter shithole. And it's a deliberate choice because you could see that when he cleaned up San Francisco for his commie masters coming in to visit. And all of a sudden it was back to being a beautiful town for about a week. And then Xi Jinping left off and fucked off back to China. And it went right back to being a fucking hellscape on fucking Earth. The shit was back on the ground. The bums were back in the streets. The junkies were doing the fucking fentanyl shuffle up and down the fucking streets. And they still just want to rant and rave. And all these deep blue cities are talking about how their states are subject to population booms. My own little shithole state of Illinois here, that fat jelly-filled fuck-em-up piece of shit governor of ours. Oh, well, Illinois had population growth this year, and we... Yeah, now, these are very skewed numbers, and they're being reported in such a way as to deliberately reflect something that may be factually accurate, but at the same time misrepresenting, because the only reason most of these deep blue shitholes are showing population growth, because anybody with the resources and an iota of common sense is fleeing to fucking better pastures, is because they count the fucking illegals on the census. The parasitic, non-contributory, freeloading fucking illegals that are in all these deep blue sanctuary cities are counted on the census, so they can say, our net population is up. Where, for example, in Illinois, we've got a net population growth of something like 52,000 people for the year of 2024. But we also have an importation of something like 395,000 illegals, give or take. I mean, that number, I could be completely misremembering it. But it's definitely a six-figure number of illegals in the state that are being counted in that population roll, because, again, like I said, anybody with the resources and the fucking option is fleeing these just tax-burdened shitholes that are, again, actively importing the third world into fucking America. And you go out and the people are fed up. I'm actually really looking forward to the day one of Trump's border czar, Tom, coming through Chicago. He said he's coming here on his first day on the job because Pritzker basically was trying to talk tough, and he was like, yeah, you know what? Go ahead and try and stop me. The people have spoken. The people in the black communities and the different communities throughout Chicago, the poor people, the established people, the Latinos, the blacks, they all want the fucking illegals gone. You know who's out there not saying illegals need to leave? The fucking illegals and elitist leftist sacks of shit who really don't have a problem importing the third world to the country because they don't have to deal with the consequences of their actions. They're not the ones getting stabbed on the subway. They're not the ones getting raped in some fucking back alley because they have armed security that keeps them safe. And they want to deny us the same protections. They don't want you carrying a gun. They don't want you protecting yourself. They want you to be weak and dependent on the state and a victim. And, you know, it's been shown over and over again that this leftist ideology is utterly fucked. They say they don't, gun violence is bad and we need gun control and we need this and we need that. And then you get like this Luigi fuck who shot the CEO of United Healthcare and is, crickets from the gun control crowd about that because, the person he shot had it coming. He deserved it in the mind of these leftist fucks. So subsequently, gun control isn't necessary in these circumstances. He was a wicked man, and that's why he died, and it was just and it was righteous. And you've got motherfucking morons idolizing this Luigi prick who was, a Ivy League, grew up with a fucking silver spoon, got wanted for nothing, basically. Oh, I killed him because he declined the fucking... And now, again, I'm still kind of suspicious of the whole. How convenient that this Ivy League dropout was caught with the gun and with a manifesto saying why he decided to shoot this guy, eating in a fucking McDonald's, wearing the exact same outfit that he was wearing when he committed the crime. It really doesn't fucking add up, and it's just it makes my bullshit sensors twinge a little bit. And I could be completely wrong. And maybe he was just really that fucking stupid, or he was that entitled, or he thought he was going to get away with it, or he doesn't care if he gets caught because he knows the left's going to bail him out. And it's entirely possible that he knew he'd be some kind of fucking liberal superstar with the commie fuckheads because, rich white Ivy League motherfucker. Those are his people. So maybe he's playing to that little fucking short king energy. Oh, look at me. I go hiking, I hear some pictures from my social media with my shirt off, and I'm going to smile, and I flirt with everybody because I'm a rich, entitled white motherfucker. The one who the left would tell you is the bad guy. But since he went out and popped a CEO, all of a sudden he's a fucking hero, and he's doing what needs to be done. And, you don't hear anybody screaming about banning ghost guns, even though allegedly he used a 3D printed gun and a 3D printed silencer to shoot this fucking guy. And, without going off on another tear, again, Second Amendment absolutist, I think you should be able to print whatever the fuck you have the capacity to print. I think you should be able to have silencers and fully automatic weapons without having to tithe to the crown for your innate right to defend yourself. I really don't think silencers, which are simply accessories, and they're not actually silencers, that's really a misnomer, suppressors, because you can't really silence a fucking gun. There's still going to be a pop. But, I think they're actually a wonderful device. They're a fantastic thing. You got to train with them to use them properly. They have to be maintained to be functional. But if you're in like a home defense situation and you got to shoot somebody that breaks into your fucking house, it's really nice to still be able to hear when the altercation's over. And I don't know, maybe I generally kind of assume I reach a certain target audience where I'm assuming most of you guys are probably pretty familiar with firearms. And if you've ever fired a gun in an enclosed space, if you haven't fired a gun in an enclosed space, first off, here's the 30-second education thing. Suppressors, again, not silencers, suppressors. Suppressors lessen the volume of a weapon discharge. They do not eliminate it. I mean, yes, with subsonic ammunition and a suppressor, you can get it pretty fucking quiet. Maybe like 70 or 80 decibels, I think, is the lowest you can get it. It's still fucking... It's a significant level of noise. It's not silent, but it's a hell of a lot quieter than discharging, standard weight ammo. I mean, weight's kind of a rough way to say it, but full powder load ammunition that breaks the sound barrier when you shoot it is loud as fuck. If somebody's breaking in your house in the middle of the night, you're not wearing ear protection when you're grabbing your nightstand gun to go shoot the guy that's breaking in to fuck your dog and murder your wife, or vice versa, whichever way it goes. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the idea of suppressors. I happen to live in one of the states where you're not allowed to have them because I live in a communist shithole, or aspiring communist shithole. It's just kind of a regular, leftist shithole at the moment. But that doesn't mean they're not trying. Fat Boy and his fucking cohorts are really trying to get us there. Now, fortunately, there's still a lot of great organizations out there that are, every time they're doing this, trying to slap the fucking governor's pee-pee every time a Second Amendment issue comes up, and more power to them. Thanks for the great work. Keep it up. But on the other side of that coin, it's just the ignorance. They want you disarmed. They want you vulnerable. They want you weak. They want you dependent, because that's the only way they can maintain their own positions, is if... people that are able to function and survive independently don't need politicians, and politicians need people to need them. The entire bureaucratic class is, I've said it so many times, is a class of parasites. And now we have, now I'm kind of going to circle back here. It's a long-winded, roundabout way of saying it, but with the Elon Musk facet of bringing light to the CR that was being proposed, that was the 1,500-page CR thing. You have the typical leftist players having their fucking typical meltdowns. The news media got their marching orders as soon as the fucking bill was killed. Start referring to him as President Musk. Start referring to him as an unelected dictator, an aspiring, and the conspiracy theorists on the left. There's a running thing that says the left can't meme, which I firmly believe, because they can't, because they don't have a fucking sense of humor. Memes have to be funny to be effective. And when you are too busy being offended to laugh at something, you don't know how to function. You've lost your sense of humor, and you subsequently can't meme. So fuck you. If you're a leftist, you can't meme, and you suck. But furthermore, not only can the left not meme, but most of the leftist conspiracy theories are really fucking lame. They are so retarded. And the current one and I think this actually goes more to, they're trying to go after Trump's arrogance and sense of ego, where if people start saying, well, Elon's the mover and the shaker, they're going to drive a wedge between Elon, who just seems to have the best, albeit slightly autistic, intentions towards the country, where he just wants to see the government run efficiently and general quality of life to go up for people. I mean, he seems like a decent guy, even though he's a goofy motherfucker. But I digress. Yeah, so they're pushing this conspiracy theory now that that J.D. Vance and Elon Musk are conspiring to replace Trump as president. And it's like, that's utterly ridiculous for multiple reasons, not the least of which being the fact that Elon Musk is ineligible to be the president of the United States because he's not born here. Yes, he's a naturalized citizen. He has his papers. He's a legal U.S. citizen with every right to bitch and complain about the government, which is functionally what he's been doing. Yes, he has a bigger platform than you or me or anybody out there outside of maybe Joe Rogan. And ultimately, he's using his platform to bring light to the fucking just business as usual shit to these parasites, but it's literally fucking the American people over. But he's well within his rights to say that. So all the leftist narrating, flapping heads and shill motherfuckers that are out there saying, oh, President Musk is an unelected individual. And this is coming all the way up to and including fucking federally appointed, federally nominated, federally elected motherfuckers. I mean, every facet of the left and uniparty motherfuckers in the government right now are trying to come after Elon, saying he's an unelected individual and who's he to be, trying to kill these bills and blah, blah, blah. He didn't do anything to kill the bill outside of bring it to the attention of the American people. The American people are the ones who killed the fucking bill by reaching out to the representatives and saying, motherfucker, you better not. It's not him trying to be a kingmaker. It's not him trying to run the fucking country. All he did was throw it up and go, hey guys, look at this. It seems like shit to me. What do you think? If you don't agree with it, call your representatives. That's how representative government is supposed to work, which is something most of these parasitic fucks have forgotten, is we don't work for them. They're not our masters. They're not our gods. They're not our bosses. They're supposed to work for us. That's what the representative part of representative government is. And you've got people out there saying, oh, well, this isn't how democracy works and this isn't how government works. Yeah, motherfucker, it's how it's supposed to work. Just because it's not how things have been done for the last, 100 years or so, doesn't mean it's not how it's supposed to go. It means you motherfuckers have strayed from the path and it's time that we smack you on the nose and tell you to get back where you belong or you will be fucking replaced. You're not there for yourself. You're not there for your donors. You're there for the people. If you have lost sight of that, if you somehow think you are better or more deserving than or somehow more important than, it's time for you to fucking go. And it's in the next, few months, I'd say pay real attention to what's going on in Congress, because there's going to be a lot of people whose colors are going to be shown, and they're either, it's going to be test of faith time. It's you either do what we expect of you or you must be replaced. And I think that's started to sink into some people. Some people still don't get it. Some people still think that they're there to tell us how to live our lives and they're somehow better than us or more deserving than us or just better than. And they haven't. And again, that's also a side effect of having a shit ton of geriatric fucks in the halls of Congress. Now, conversely, I also think we should be keeping motherfuckers under like 30 out of there because they're still developing. They're still fucking stupid. And most of them haven't had enough real world experience yet to belong in there. Prime example, like they're the first Gen Z congressman in there, who of course is a Democrat. He's from Florida, surprisingly enough, somehow got into office, and he has been nothing but doing, bad take, shit take posts since this has happened. And he's a fucking idiot, and he's just indicative of his age, and he's a fucking moron. And on top of that, he's a leftist, so he's also a fucking moron for that. But the point is, all of this shit's going on. It's business as usual. The bait and switch of Massey said, okay, we're going to do single item voting. And we had a groundswell of support for that. And then 11th hour fucking Hakeem Jeffries comes in and says, here's this CR that we wrote from the Democrat side of things. And we're all going to vote to back it if you put it up for a vote, Speaker Johnson. And we'll come save your ass again. You just give us everything we fucking want. And don't give Trump anything because we're the party of we said so. And yeah, of course, that's the one that they ramrod through. And you get enough uniparty assholes from the right that are, well, supposedly from the right that, oh, yeah, we got to hop on board with this. We can't have the government shut down. Now, bear in mind, it wouldn't be the first time the government's been shut down. It wouldn't be the first time in the last, 20 years that the government's been shut down at least 10 times since I started voting. So these shutdowns are never the end of the fucking world. There are provisions in place to make sure things get done. things are still going to happen. It's utter horseshit. The only reason they want to avoid these shutdowns is because the shutdowns will just highlight how little we actually need these fucks for our day-to-day lives. They can't let the people learn how useless they actually fucking are. The problem is people are learning anyway. People have come to realize a lot of things, and they're starting to, the expectation has changed. What we expect from them is definitely shifting. And thanks to the open communication, we've made it better where we can hold them accountable for this horse shit. And that's it's not a bad thing, but we still got hit with the okey doke on the spending bill. We still, I had a modicum of hope there for a minute where they might be able to go, hey, look, these single item bills were received a lot better by the public. Maybe we should stick to that. But of course, they're not gonna. Time has run out for the fucking woolly mammoth, but the fucking woolly mammoth is still stomping around and trying to crush as much shit as they can on the way out the door. Biden's out here pardoning everybody. They got the fucking leftists calling for, commute the death penalty, pardon everybody on death row and all across the country. So the left is so just so pro-life and so, willing to do what's right because it's wrong to murder somebody just because they killed 37 children and wore their fucking skin as a fucking fedora. That doesn't mean they should be put to death. That's wrong. So apparently the only time it's, moral to put something to death is when it's in your womb. It's realistic. Like I've always said, if it's not my kid, it's not my fucking business. And I don't agree with, just from a personal stance, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I don't agree with abortion, but I'm also not here to tell anyone else how to live their lives. And whether, depending on what they believe in, and who knows, if I'm right, if I'm wrong, depending on what comes after we're gone, they may have to answer to a higher power for it. They don't believe in it. They don't think it's the case. But if that is the case, it ain't going to change the results. Saying I didn't believe in you ain't going to get them any kind of slack from anybody. I guarantee that. But ultimately, I just try and go out and live a good life. And I can't live with hypocrisy like some motherfuckers apparently can. Because if you're willing to defend the life of an absolute piece of shit human being that has made nothing but bad decisions and made other people's lives worse, but you don't think that an unborn potential life deserves a chance to get there, you're a fucking hypocrite. So, and that's another one of those things that's come up. Like I said, we've got fucking Jeffries and his ilk out here screaming for, pardon all the death row inmates, Joe, and the administration. Again, I don't think Biden's doing any of this shit. The administration they're going to do it because it's uniparty bullshit and it's coming from uniparty sources. So I think it's going to happen. I think he's probably going to issue blanket pardons for everybody and anybody. And that's one of the things too, like there was stuff put in that CR about basically insulating everybody on the J6 committee from ever seeing any kind of, repercussions for that sham trial and, putting all those January 6th people in prison for the last year or two, which none of them had any business being there when they were actively working to unlock people that literally burned cities to the fucking ground, assaulted people, ended people's lives. The January 6th people, it was not a riot. It was not an insurrection. And it was spawned on by the feds. It looks more and more like that because they're saying, we can't say this and we can't say that and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, basically, it never would have gotten to be anything resembling a riot without federal interference to push it to that point. So none of those January 6th prisoners belong in prison. And it's utter horseshit that they're trying to defend the people that put them there for a sham trial to try and basically say, don't you dare get out of line. This is a warning to you. You stay in line or else you're going to go in jail too. And it's bad. So you just let us ruin your lives and run things into the ground because if you try and stand up for yourselves, we're going to make sure you know it's a bad thing. And you get this, elitist horseshit parasite class. Again, they're going back to the same playbook over and over again because they don't learn, they don't evolve, they don't change. They're just fucking suck and take and suck until they kill the fucking host. And I don't know, that's where I'm at right now. This will be coming out on the 24th. We've got Rand Paul's annual Festivus list of government wasteful spending to look forward to. So keep your eyes open on social media for that. That's always a good time where he shows all the bullshit that the federal government wastes our money on every year. How much money? I'm looking forward to finding out how much money we're spending to find out if cocaine makes gay dolphins fuck better or whatever other stupid shit he's going to come across this year. It ought to be a hoot and a holler. So this will be coming out on December 24th, Christmas Eve day. So to those of you who celebrate, Merry Christmas, Happy Yule, Solid and Somber Tet, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever applies. There's a lot of holidays around this time of year. Happy solstice we just got through the winter solstice, so days are getting longer again. So yay daylight. I hope everyone has a good, satisfying wrap up to the year. Keep the notifications on if you follow me on any of the social media contracts. I'm going to be going live here and there because I'm on vacation for like the next week. So we're going to do some daytime live streams for 45 minutes or an hour here and there, depending on what else I got going on during the day. I don't pretend like I run my life outside of work. Whatever the boss gives me time to do stuff, whenever she says I can go play, I'm going to go play. But turn the notifications on so you can, when I pop in live randomly during the course of the next week, you can catch in there. So I'm not sitting there talking to myself with nobody listening. And for now, Happy New Year, guys. That's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord. Come and interact. Be a part of the show. Buy the merch. Support your favorite creator. Or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.